So I'm sure I'm probably like many of you out there that probably struggle with forgiveness. Now, we all try to deal with forgiveness in a matter-to-matter way, but we can really deal with it with dealing with the universe. So this week, it's kind of interesting. Dr. Joe kind of mentioned it in his Dr. Joe Live, and it happened to come up this morning in my meditation. Now, let me give you a little background on how I've been kind of dealing with my forgiveness. Now, I wasn't purposely trying to deal with forgiveness, but a couple months ago, I did a meditation. I think it was Blessing of the Energy Center 7. And towards the end, I had this experience where all of a sudden, I'm trying to remember how it went. So I sense a higher divine being, and we're all connected to it. And so at that moment, I don't know what came across me, but I asked for forgiveness. And before I could even say it, you know how you just kind of say it in your mind, you don't really voice it. Before I even said, please forgive me, I felt like before I even got that out, I felt this overwhelming feeling of love come over me, like everything that I was ever sorry for was forgiven. It was amazing. It was an amazing, amazing feeling. And after that, I started seeing all these people in front of me. There were people from my past, I guess. And I was I kind of understood that I needed to forgive these people since I was forgiven so quickly and so easily. And I didn't realize how simple it was. So all these people are in front of me, and I held out my hands to them, and all these people came and hugged me. And I could see people. And people that maybe there was something very simple that I was kind of holding against them. It was very easy to forgive them. And then people, like there was some kids that picked on me when I was younger. I kind of saw them standing in the back. It was almost like, it's not that they were willing to accept my forgiveness. It was me maybe for trying to forgive them, because they probably don't even know what they did to me, because it's me that's holding it against them. So it took a while, but the rest of the people all came and gave me a hug, and I felt really wonderful. But then I noticed to one side of me, there was a dark, shadowy figure, and then to the other side of me, there was one person that I've been struggling to forgive. And it was interesting. I talked to a friend about it, and she kind of mentioned maybe that dark, shadowy figure was me. And more I think about it, I think maybe it is me, that I can't forgive myself. And so going back to my meditation this morning, I don't remember how it came up, but it was kind of this whole forgiveness thing kind of coming up again. And the dark, shadowy figure and that other person were in front of me. And I went to hug them, and I felt that the shadowy figure hugged me. It was almost like it was let go, but still not completely. I felt a release, and I felt kind of more relaxed, more love. And then I think I felt a little release from that other person, but not fully. There's something I'm struggling with for that person. And so if you watch, there's a video that Dr. Joe has that he talks about forgiveness, and I'll put the link below. He talks about how the more profound the experience and the more we relive that experience or those emotions to that experience, the more hardwired it gets in our head, and it sinks down there in our brain, and it's hard to let it go. Very simple experiences are easy to let go because they're not hardwired, I guess you could say. They're wired in there, but not hardwired. And so I think that with this person, I have a lot that I'm still holding on to, and I want to let it go. And I'm sure you guys are the same way too. It's like, I just want to let it go. How do I do that? Because you're like, if I let it go, I feel so much better. And I don't know that there's really a simple answer on how to let it go, because once again, you're trying to think matter to matter. How do I let it go? And you can't tell you, okay, well, do this and do that and think of this and think of that. So I don't know. I'm going to show you a clip of my husband. He had an experience too, where he didn't really do anything, just like me. I didn't really do anything. I wasn't purposely focusing on forgiveness. It just kind of came up inside that maybe I should ask for forgiveness, and then all that happened. And I did feel relief from that. I still just have those few things I'm hanging on to. But I'm going to show you a clip of my husband where he had a big moment. So just as you watch, pay attention to, it's kind of like what Dr. Joe talks about, where you get this overwhelming feeling of love, and that love, I guess it could be like all your energy from down below comes up to your heart, and you get that overwhelming feeling of love, and it kind of releases that oxytocin. And he says when that's released, that goes up to the brain. And when you get that oxytocin, you feel just so incredible that you have no reason to want to hang on to all that stuff. It's like you feel so full of love. Why hang on to anything that's negative? And you just want to continue feeling this way. Why think of something that's going to bring you down? So let me play the clip for him of my husband, and then we'll talk about it here in just a second.
There was a moment that I still cannot forget. I was on the back porch, midway-ish through the progressive intensive, and I think he was doing a lecture talking about forgiveness, maybe. I don't know for sure, but I just know that I was eyes open, wasn't meditating, and just felt this tremendous upwelling of emotion and tears, crying, some sadness, some joy, relief of just feeling, and at the same time, people, places, faces, names, events, some recent, some I hadn't thought of in over 30 years. And it was spectacular, definitely interesting, to say the least. But after this, I just remember, not after, but during this time that this was all happening, I just remember being like, I forgive you. I don't care anymore. And it really brought on a whole new level of peace. I guess I did not realize how much those people hurt me, and I was carrying it, carrying it forward. Some of them were stupid little things, but I was a little kid, and they were pretty traumatic to me at that time. I know now better why, we carry these things with us. We relive the emotions, whatever. But very surprising to me. There was a pretty big one with my father. He passed away when I was 13. And that event has been very difficult for me. But during this point on the porch, when I was going through all these emotions and things, I guess I didn't realize, but I was blaming God for taking my father away. And I just said, I forgive you, God. I don't hold it against you for doing that. And right, wrong, or indifferent, it just felt really, really good.
Okay, so as you can see, he wasn't even meditating in order to get that release. He just somehow was thinking about it a little bit. And then he was able to just forgive everybody. He came and told me about it afterwards, and all these people, I know there's some people that he was really holding grudges against, and he was like, I'm ready to just go and apologize to them, and they probably didn't even realize they did anything to him, but he was just like so full of love that he just didn't care anymore. And I'm sure that's the feeling that we all want to get. And how do you get it? So, like I said, there's not an exact way. So what I would suggest, if you want to try to work on forgiveness, you have to work on yourself. How do you do that? I'm sure probably many of you have been doing lots of meditations. Well, how do I do that? What do I do? So what I would recommend is probably doing blessings of the energy centers, because Dr. Joe talks about how you've got this stuck energy that's stuck down. Usually it's those 3 centers, and because that's where a lot of the anger and frustration and worry and fear come from. And if you can pull that up and release it, then that can go to the heart, and then the heart just basically explodes, and then all that oxytocin can just like let it go. And I guess that's similar to the experience that my husband had. So releasing those, working on those, doing the breath, because he has you take all that energy that's stuck down below and just lifting it up. And then it gets up to the heart, goes to the brain, and then just out, and it releases it. Maybe work on some different things to try to open up your heart. You could maybe even try breaking the habit of being yourself, because that one works on specific emotions. So if you feel there's an emotion that maybe there is somebody that you're holding a certain emotion to, anger, hate, distrust, something like that, you can kind of work on those emotions, because those emotions are what are wired in your brain to make you rethink those memories of that person or something. Or you may have that memory and that specific emotion starts to come up. So maybe if you work on a specific emotion and let that go, maybe that can help. Or, maybe try what I tried, just ask for forgiveness. If you believe in a higher being, which I think the more and more you do this work, you will realize that there is a higher being that is overseeing all of us, source, divine, God, whatever you want to call it. And I just basically surrendered that, whatever you want to call it, surrendered everything, and he gave me forgiveness. So, or she. But anyway, it's a hard thing to deal with. But I think the more you do the work, the more you'll realize you don't need that crap, and you do want to let it go. And so just all I can tell you is just keep doing the work, and your time will come, and you will feel that release, and you will, it'll feel amazing, because it felt amazing after I did it, but I'm still hanging on a little bit, and I want to let that go. So if you've had any experience with ways of you letting go, let me know. Give other people some tips, advice. Like I said, there's no exact way to do this, but just let it go.